Once upon a time, in the peaceful village of Onitsha, the people lived by the great river that flowed through their land. The river was their lifeline, providing water for their crops, fish for their meals, and a place to cool off during the hot afternoons. The villagers believed the river was a gift from the gods, and they treated it with great respect. In this village lived a young girl named Kosi, who had just turned 18. Kosi was known for her kindness and the way she always helped her mother at the riverside market. Since her father passed away many years ago, Kosi had taken on the responsibility of caring for her younger brother, Chidi, and her mother, Mama Nkechi, who was often too tired to work. Every morning, Kosi would wake up before the sun rose, gather her fishing net, and head to the river with Chidi. Together, they would cast their net into the water, hoping to catch enough fish to sell at the market. But for the few past months, the river had been unkind. The fish were scarce, and no matter how hard Kosi and Chidi tried, their net always came up empty. The villagers whispered that the river was angry and that it would take a special sacrifice to calm the waters. Kosi didn't believe in such things, but as days went on and her family grew hungrier, doubts began to creep into her heart. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills and the sky turned orange and purple, Kosi sat by the river, her toes in the cold water. Staring at the still surface, she felt a deep sadness inside her. Her mother was growing weaker, and Chidi was too young to understand why they didn't have enough to eat. Kosi's heart ached, knowing she had no answers for him. As she sat there, a gentle breeze blew through the trees, and suddenly the river rippled. Though there was no boat or fish to cause the disturbance, Kosi looked up, her eyes widening in surprise. Out of the water, a figure began to rise. It was tall and shimmering, like the river itself had come to life. The figure had the shape of a woman, with flowing hair made of water and eyes that glowed like the stars. Kosi's heart raced. She had heard the stories about spirits of the water, but she had never seen one herself. Kosi, the figure said. Her voice was soft as the wind, but clear as the bell. I know your troubles. I have watched you come to my waters many days, searching for fish that no longer swim here. Kosi stood up quickly, her hands trembling. She clutched the necklace her mother had given her, a small wooden charm of protection. Who are you? She asked, her voice shaking. I am the spirit of the river, the figure replied, her form shimmering in the twilight. I have seen your pain, and I have come to offer you help. Kosi felt a flicker of hope in her chest, but she also knew enough about the old stories to be careful. What kind of help? She asked slowly. The spirit smiled, though it was not a warm smile. I can fill your net with fish again, more fish than you have ever seen. Your family will never go hungry, and your mother will regain her strength. Kosi's heart widened. It was everything she had been praying for. But there was a heaviness in the air, and she knew that such gifts always came with a price. What do you want in return? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. The spirit's smile faded, and her glowing eyes grew serious. I do not ask for much, she said, her voice smooth and calm. When the time comes, you must give me your firstborn child. Kosi gasped, her heart pounding in her chest. Her firstborn child? She didn't even have a husband yet, but the thought of sacrificing a child she hadn't even met filled her with dread. How could she agree to such a thing? The spirit stepped closer, her watery form glistening in the fading lights. "Do not decide now," she said softly. "But know this, the river will not give its gift forever. You have until the next new moon to accept my offer. If you do not, the river will dry, and your family will face even greater hardships." With that, the spirit began to dissolve back into the river, her form melting into the water until she was gone, and the river was still once more. Kosi stood there, her mind swelling with fear and confusion. What should she do? Could she really sacrifice her future child for the sake of her family now? She knew the days would pass quickly, and soon she would have to make a choice. For the next few days, Kosi told no one about the spirit's offer, not even Chidi or Mama Nkechi. She spent long hours sitting by the river, watching the water, wondering what her decision would bring. The villagers continued to struggle, and every day the market grew quieter with fewer fish to sell. As the new moon drew closer, Kosi's heart grew heavier. She knew that soon the spirit would return, and she would have to give her answer. The night before the new moon, Kosi sat alone by the river once more. The air was still, and the village was silent. She clutched the wooden charm around her neck, her thought racing. What should she do? Could she really make such a sacrifice? As she stared into the water, the spirit voice whispered on the breeze once again, "Kosi, have you made your decision?" Kosi turned, her breath catching in her throat. The shimmering figure stood before her, its glowing eyes watching her closely. Kosi's heart pounded as she took a deep breath, knowing that the moment of choice had come. Kosi stood before the spirit, her hands trembling as the weight of the decision pressed heavily on her. She had spent the past days wrestling with the thought of sacrificing her future child, and it haunted her. She looked up at the spirit, the river shimmering behind it, and knew that once she made her choice, there would be no going back. Kosi hesitated, her voice small. "I can't do it," she said, shaking her head. "I can't sacrifice my child. Even if I don't know them yet, they are a part of me. I can't trade their life for fish." The spirit's eyes narrowed slightly, and the hair around them seemed to grow colder. "Think carefully, Kosi. Your mother grew weaker by the day, and your brother is but a child. Do you wish to see them suffer? Without the river's gift, their future will be bleak." Kosi clenched her fist, tears filling her eyes. I know that life is hard for us now, but I can't agree to do something so terrible. I believe we can find another way. I won't trade the life of my future child, no matter how much we struggle." The spirit form flickered, and for a moment it seemed to swell, looming over her. "You are brave, Kosi, but you are also foolish. The river does not make offers lightly." Kosi swallowed, standing her ground despite her fear. "Maybe I am foolish, but I would rather live in hardship than sacrifice someone who hasn't even been given a chance to live. I believe in hope. I believe that my family can survive, even without your help." The spirit was silent for a moment, and then, to Kosi's surprise, it began to shrink back, its form becoming less imposing. The water around it shimmered, and the cold air erased. "You have chosen," the spirit said, its voice softer now. Many before you have made different choices, and the river has claimed their lives because of it. But you are different, Kosi. Kosi blinked, confused. Different? What do you mean? The spirit smiled, though it was a sad, distant smile. You chose love over fear. You chose to protect what has yet to come, even when it seemed impossible. The river tests all who seek its gifts, and you have passed its test. Kosi stared at the spirit, her heart racing. The test. The spirit nodded. Yes, many come to the river, seeking riches or escape from hardship, but few are willing to sacrifice their future to save it. Your refusal had shown the river that you are worthy. With a grateful motion, the spirit lifted its hand, and the water of the river began to flow, lightening up the night. Kosi watched in awe as the river swelled and shimmered. Fish began to leap over the water, filling the air with splashes. From now on, the river will be kind to you and your people, the spirit said. Your net will be full, and your family will no longer suffer. Kosi couldn't believe her eyes. Thank you. Thank you so much, she whispered, tears of relief streaming down her face. The spirit nodded. But remember, Kosi, the river gives as long as it is respected. Do not forget your responsibility to do it and to the future. With that, the spirit faded into the water, leaving Kosi standing by the glowing river, her heart filled with gratitude and relief. She quickly ran back to the village, eager to tell her family what had happened. From that day on, Kosi and the villagers of Onitsha had never went hungry again. The river continued to provide for them, and Kosi never forgot the lesson she had learned that night. Thank you very much for watching. Sometimes, the hardest decisions we face are not about what we gain, but also what we are willing to protect. True strength lies in choosing love and hope over fear and greed. When we hold on to our values, even in the face of hardship, we can find solutions that benefit not just us, but our future generations. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.